Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and the Bias Plus reports, and this is Ben and Barry on football.
Hello out there, this is Ben Dickerson, your co-host, and as promised, today we're going to do the top 15 secondary units in the NFL for the upcoming 2021 season.
Yes. Now, this is the top half. Last week we did the bottom half. You looked at the players and how they integrate and how you expect them to perform. I kind of looked at the contracts and from the perspective of management wanting to see that their performance matches the value or the money that they're paying out for these guys and how that might affect things. So let me just mention real quick, this is sort of the opening of the preseason beyond the Hall of Fame game. They'll actually get an extra preseason game out of this situation. But we have games tonight, Thursday. Today is August the 12th, 2021. Games tomorrow. I'm like throughout the weekend. So we have a great distribution of games, a couple here, a couple there. And we'll talk a little bit about some of that. But it is preseason, so I'm not going to bore you, Mr. Dickerson. It's us guys like the beginning of American Idol. We want to see the young, untested talent before they become polished. We want to see those guys. And I think, if anything, we're just looking to see the quarterbacks, because this is the chance to see all the backup quarterbacks, you know. And I will ask this question. We can talk about this at the end. But when these coaches, say, for example, the Philadelphia Eagles head coach, Mr. Sirianni, will not name a starter for his team, is this like a football tactic? Because it makes you think, can he really not make up his mind between the two quarterbacks?
In a situation,
a hard time judging performance in practice, or what?
Yeah, in a situation like we have here in Philadelphia, first of all, I think sometimes these coaches, in an attempt to cover their butts a little bit, come up with this quarterback competition thing, and I believe it's a little demeaning to the fans. I really do. I think you're kind of insulting the fans when you do stuff like that. If the New Orleans Saints head coach Sean Payton comes out and says we have a quarterback competition, then you go, yeah, I can see that. And people will say, well, I like this guy, I like that guy. They should go this way because he can do this. They can, you know what I mean? You can do that in that particular situation. But when the Jacksonville Jaguars new coach Urban Meyer comes out, he has the #1 pick overall and says there's a quarterback competition. The best thing I can say
and
is
who's the backup?
On TV.
Who's the backup?
Urban Meyer did not come into the NFL to coach Gardner Minshew. Okay? Plain and simple. He did not leave a cushy television job to come into the NFL and become a head coach, which is a tough job, and then draft a quarterback #1 overall to make him compete with Gardner Minshew. Not going to happen. We have the same situation in Philadelphia. People forget it wasn't that long ago. It wasn't that long ago that they drafted Jalen Hurts for almost the exact situation that occurred. Something went wrong with Wentz, be it physical or mental, and he ends up getting himself out of here. Okay, this is what you got him for. He's here. That's what you got him for. The situation has arisen. Throw him out there. Let's see what he can do. It's not like he never stepped on the field before. You know what I mean? He played 4 or 5 games last season. So you got to get him out there. Got to play him. He's the starter. Who's going to beat him out? Joe Flacco? Mullen? was didn't is it Mullins? He used to be a 49er.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, come on, man.
Is Nick the Quick there?
Yeah, it's Nick Mullen. He's the third string quarterback now. Yeah, because I think Sudfeld, they let Sudfeld go. I think he went to
I think he went to my Niners.
Oh, Sudfeld, right? That's correct. Sudfeld's with the Niners. But we digress. This is crazy.
In a way, we digress, but we always come back to the question about these coaches and their quarterbacks and their choices for backup quarterbacks. And it's really crazy. Now in Chicago, it's slightly different again. You have a somewhat competent, quarterback in Andy Dalton. And then you have a very promising, highly talented, obviously, guy who actually in college, other than winning the national championship, matched everything that the number 1 draft pick did. And some people say he outplayed him. So you got a serious talent there. And the question is now, do you go in with Andy Dalton or do you bring Justin Fields in and you go for it? So that I can almost see a little bit more, but at the very least, you got some competencies. But in many cases, that backup is like, we know that's not who you're going with. Like you said, we know that. So
well, now that you got me talking about this, okay, there's kind of 3 different situations. 1, done deal. 2, competition. 3, and this is a situation that your team is in right now, is competency. We're just looking to see if the new kid is competent enough to take over, which basically makes a guy like Andy Dalton a placeholder. It makes a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo trade bait. You get what I'm saying?
I've heard it. Yeah.
So,
but something that's, while that's
true, you don't hear Shanahan saying he's having a quarterback competition. He's coming right out. Garoppolo's my guy. That's my quarterback. We're doing everything we can to make sure that Trey Lance is ready if we need him, that he knows the offense well and all that. Now, when or if they ever make the switch will depend on a lot of factors. But first things first, you got to make sure this dude's competent to take the job if he needs to, has to, or you want him to.
Well, I think what you just said about my Niner coach was complimentary.
Yes. Yeah.
But I've heard it reported that he said something about putting in packages for trade.
Yeah, neither one of us are a fan of that.
No. I don't care if he steams on that damn sideline. Let him mature. Let him see this game. But prep him to be the backup. There shouldn't be any question about who Josh. They got Josh there, and they got all the other guys there. Why? Like used to say, they're placeholders. They're guys who can hold the ball, whatever. But that if something happens to Garoppolo, your job is to make sure Trey Lance is ready. I don't care if Trey Lance plays all the entire preseason at risk of being injured. He has to get in there and get that under his belt, so that what you have to work with, because Garoppolo is going to come in and, barring something crazy, I believe, how competent he is. You know what he can do. So he's going to run that offense. And that's what you want. You want somebody who, number one, going to run that offense.
That is correct.
What can I tell you? All right. We are going to kick off the top 15, top 16, 15 defensive back rooms in the NFL as ranked by Pro Football Focus. And Ben always gives this disclaimer.
And the disclaimer is that these rankings come from Pro Football Focus. highly respected Pro Football Focus, respected by me, but I do not always 100% agree with the rankings. I agree with most of the information that they give out about the players and all that. That's wonderful. I understand why they say what they say about individual players, putting them together to rank them as an entire defensive backfield group. But the order in which they are ranked, I'm not 100% with, but I'm pretty close on these. This top 15 we got some nice units here. Nice, very nice.
Interesting, Ben, looking at the salaries for these teams. I think everyone's going to be a bit surprised to see in your top half who has the lowest total cap hit and who has the largest cap hit. And we found last week that did not always coincide with their rankings. So let's kick it off with number 15.
And number 15 might come as a little surprise to some people unless you watched our show last week and noticed that we didn't mention their name, and that team's name is the Cincinnati Bengals. So let me start off with saying about the Cincinnati Bengals that cornerback Trey Wayans had a solid 5 years with the Minnesota Vikings. I'm sure people have heard that name quite a bit. He signed with Cincinnati last year, but he spent most of the season on the injury reserve list. That did not help them. However, he was a solid ball player with the Vikings. They expect him to do the same thing, playing the cornerback position for them. And they expect him to come back this year and be healthy and get that done. Now, the other corner, Chidewu Awuzie, had an okay 4 seasons with the Cowboys. He came over in free agency also, but he spent a good part of 2020 also on IR. Well, he did that with the Cowboys. He didn't do it with Cincinnati, but now he's here. Between IR and the COVID list, that's pretty much what did him in. Mike Hilton, in 5 years with the Steelers, worked his way up from the practice squad all the way to being a serviceable nickelback or slot corner, as they like to call him. And strong safety Von Bell is best against the run, making big hits, forcing fumbles, things like that. So we got a nice little collection here of free agents that Cincinnati has brought in, proven players that have put in some time with other teams, and they expect them to get the job done. Because they are proven players, because they have track records, that's probably what has boosted Cincinnati up to the number 15 ranking. Oh yeah, the free safety is Jesse Bates III. He's basically the star of the unit. He hits, he tackles, and he excels in coverage also. So nice little unit they got there. Some named players. As long as everybody comes back healthy, which is kind of what you can say about everybody, they're going to have a nice unit back there.
They spent some money. $34.6 million cap hit. Now, what I did when I looked at the defensive backs, I took your 2 corners starting, your 2 safeties starting, and then I took the backup corners generally, to make 6. So that's what I got when I looked at the contracts. 34.6 million, averaging 5.7. Trey Waynes is 15.8 of this year's cap hit of that 34 million. Eli Apple we have is 1.1, and your Jesse Bates is 2.8. Everybody else is in that $4 to $5 million range. So not a bad spread, but obviously, and did you say Trey Waynes was coming off of injury?
Yes.
So this is the year that they're really looking for him to do something.
Yes.
Interesting that they're paying him that much above everyone else in this particular year. So, all right, Benny, so that wraps up the Bengals at 34.6 million. One of the better paid backfields in the NFL. We'll see a little bit more, but there's not too many teams that I'm looking at who have paid their backfield a total more money than the Bengals have. So they really have some work to do. And, I'm sure we'll be interested to see how that team kind of gels as they begin to move, onto the field of play. So there you go. Trey Waynes, Awuzie, Mike Hilton, Von Bell, Jesse Bates, and Eli Apple. Former Giant, right?
That is correct. Former Giant, former Saint.
Former Giant, former Saint. All right. We have the Chargers up next.
Yes, sir. Number 14, Los Angeles Chargers. So the Chargers' two best players are cornerback Chris Harris and strong safety Derwin James. Unfortunately, they are both coming off of injury-plagued seasons. However, when healthy, they're expected to be still two of the best players on that team in that secondary. Harris is 32, but he can still play, still got juice. As long as he's healthy, he should be good. James was very impressive his rookie season, which was just 2018, but he's kind of been up and down with the injury thing since then. So that'd be the last 2 years. Right now, Michael Davis is penciled in at the other corner, and Nasir Adderley will be at free safety. However, rookie second-round pick Asante Samuel Jr. is looming in the background. He may find himself in the mix either at one of those outside corner spots or possibly at the slot corner.
All right. They're not putting out as much money as the Bengals. Only 25.4 million, a little under, closer to 25.5. Chris Harris is the big man there, 11.2 million out of that 25, followed by Michael Davis at 6.4 and Derwin James at 3.9. Everyone else is down in the 1 million area. And Asante Samuel Jr., rookie, right?
Correct.
All right. So he's on that rookie contract. Fantastic. 25.46 million for the Chargers. Who's up next?
Yeah, I just wanted to say Harris is probably making the most money because he's the vet. Everybody else is relatively young.
Okay. Not sure where he stands in the contract, if he's in the last year or the first year, but he's going to have to really be the leader there, the 11.2 million.
Yeah, well, that's what they brought him over for, because he came over from the Broncos.
All right.
So that's why they got him. He's a veteran. He's a leader. At number 13, we are looking at the Indianapolis Colts. I'm sure when we talked about the linebacker units and the defensive lines, you heard me speak very highly of the Colts. Pro Football Focus also had them ranked very high. Number 13 is not bad. It's actually pretty good, especially when the rest of the defense is probably ranked a little higher. But this unit looks pretty strong. The starting cornerbacks are Xavier Rhodes and Kenny Moore II. They're both coming off of very strong seasons last year. The free safety is going to be Julian Blackman. He had a solid rookie season last year, so this is just his second year. And strong safety, Kerry Willis is coming in to only his third year, but he was solid last year also.
All right. Well, the Colts are getting away with a little under 18 million for that backfield. Derwin James, Chris Harris at 5 and 6 million, so they're not really outsized in terms of their percentage of the contract. Everyone else is in that 1 to 2 million area, averaging, what is that, 4 million, somewhere in there. So in any event, not bad for the Colts, not putting out a whole bunch of money. And like you said, that front is everything right there. So, they can probably get away with that. All right, who you got? Who's up next?
Who's up next is the Pittsburgh Steelers, ranked number 12 by Pro Football Focus. So, first of all, one of their starting corners last year was Steve Nelson. He has been now signed away in free agency to the Eagles. And Mike Hilton, whose name you just heard me say, is now with the Cincinnati Bengals. So this is what we got. Fifth-year corner, Cameron Sutton, is going to need to step up. He started full-time opposite veteran corner Joe Hayden, and they're going to expect a lot out of him because he's got a big hole to fill with Steve Nelson gone, also with Mike Hilton gone. So he needs to step up and be good right away. Strong safety is Terrell Edmonds. He was a solid performer last season. But the star of this unit is free safety Minkah Fitzpatrick. Now, you're not going to hear me say a lot of stats about a lot of guys here, like I might do with skill players like running backs and wide receivers, unless they really stand out to me. And this guy has some stats that stand out to me. Free safety Minkah Fitzpatrick had 64 solo tackles last year, 4 interceptions. Obviously, Minkah Fitzpatrick is a great player. We kind of knew that way back when he started out with the Miami Dolphins. How the Dolphins let him get away, I don't know, but he's going to serve Pittsburgh secondary very well. He's the obvious star on that team and the obvious leader. So kudos to Minkah Fitzpatrick. Pittsburgh Steelers should be pretty formidable in the secondary.
Minkah Fitzpatrick came right in, but it seemed as if he had the same type of impact as the Seahawks had when they brought in Jamal Adams.
Yes, that's a good comparison.
Okay. Yeah, that, it's amazing. But yeah, look, he came right in and was like, bam, we're in here. He's only $2.7 million of the contract. They have a $30.4 million contract. Joe Hayden, 15.5, just under 15.6 is the big man on campus as far as contracts are concerned. Everyone else is somewhat even.
But again, Joe Hayden is the veteran of the unit. So he's obviously going to make more. He's been around longer.
He's half there. But again, we have to see who came in and replaced the two that I have included here. Okay. Who do we have next?
Up next, number 11. This should not be a surprise unless some people might think 11 is a little low for them. And that would be the Washington football team. Now, obviously, the Washington football team, the first thing people think about is their front seven and their pass rush. But here they are, ranked by Pro Football Focus at number 11 for the defensive backfield. The veteran in this group is strong safety Landon Collins, a name very familiar to me because he used to be a New York Giant. He's returning from Achilles surgery, and when he's healthy, he is a stud, no doubt about it. After he went down, however, which was like in week 8 last season, Washington had to insert a rookie 7th rounder to take his place. They crossed their fingers. They put in Cameron Curl, and he did not disappoint. He finished the season with 63 solo tackles, 2 sacks, 3 interceptions. One of them was a pick 6. He's now going to start this season at free safety. So listen to this. They get the guy in the 7th round. They get in a jam. Collins goes down. This guy has to come in and take over at strong safety. Gets the job done so well that now they can't get him out of the secondary. So they're going to move him to free safety when Collins comes back to play strong. Cornerback Kendall Fuller played really, really well last year. He had 4 interceptions. And the other corner, William Jackson, after being a solid starter for the Bengals for many years, will start opposite Fuller on the other corner. And Jackson really excels in man-to-man coverage. So there's some thinking that Washington will play a little bit more man-to-man and blitz a little bit more than they normally would do or than they've normally done in seasons past.
All right. Well, again, we know that front seven is everything there. They've got a $37 million cap hit on this backfield with Landon Collins and Kendall Fuller at 16 and 13 mil respectively, taking up a good portion of that. So
gotta pay them vets.
Gotta pay them vets, man. But that's some serious cap hit right there. So all right, that is. And I'm one of those people that when you said would think that maybe that was a little low for them, I'm kind of in that. But then when you look at $800,000 for to 900,000 for three of the guys listed in their backfield that I'm looking at here, that might make, you could see there that they're going to have some weak spots. So, well, unless these guys play beyond their contracts, All right.
Well, wait. Who do you expect who has to play beyond their contract?
I have
Cameron. Guys making the most money?
No, the guy's making the least money.
Oh, yeah. Well, like I said, they think very highly of Cameron Curl, who's probably making the least amount of money there. He's a 7th round draft pick. That's like a miracle. A 7th round draft pick gets thrown into the fire and comes out like that, especially in the defense.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's amazing. Yeah, the sky's the limit for that guy as far as I'm concerned. But we'll see.
Well, that's a great value for them then. If they're getting that type of value for 800,000.
Absolutely.
Cap hit. All right, fantastic. Another defense that I thought would be a little bit higher.
I agree with you. We're in the top 10, folks, and at number 10, we're talking about the Miami Dolphins.
Top 10.
Top 10. This is the top 10, and they are number 10. I really like the Dolphins. We talked about the Dolphins quite a bit last season during the course of the season, and I spoke very highly of how I felt about their defense. So I am not surprised they're in the top 10. I'm not sure I agree with them being number 10. I think they could be a little bit higher, but as we go through these rankings and get to number 1, maybe some folks will agree with me and maybe some folks won't. In the meantime, their cornerbacks, Xavier Howard and Byron Jones, are both elite cover corners. This is what allows the Dolphins to play so much man-to-man defense and blitz as much as they do. They almost exclusively play man. Howard finished last season with 49 solo tackles and 10 interceptions. 10 interceptions. Elite cover guys. Eric Rowe is going to have to step up at strong safety. He's a former Eagle. And free safety Jason McCourty is coming over from New England. He's not young anymore, but I think he can still play. So the strength of their defensive secondary is in their corners, and they're going to look for veteran safeties to cover the rest of the field, cover deep, make the big hits, cover tight ends and all that other stuff. If those two veteran players, Rowe and McCourty, can get the job done, they will be able to continue to play the type of defense that they've been playing, and they should be pretty formidable. I believe in the Dolphins defense.
Well, the Dolphins, based on what you said, seem to be paying in an apropos manner. Now, they have a total cap hit of 39.7, just under that, million this year. So they're one of the higher cap hit teams. And when you look at Xavier Howard, Byron Jones, and Eric Rowe, that's about, let me see, 29 and 6 is 35 of the 35 million, of the 39 million.
And they just signed Howard to an extension just the other day.
Okay. Well, this was the latest, and again, these numbers are from Spot Track.
Yeah, well, if that's not 100% correct, it's not far off, because from what I read, it wasn't a big jump in pay. It's a little more money, and he's got some other stuff in there, some guarantees and some incentives and stuff like that.
Jason McCourty is like 16 years in the league, isn't he?
Yeah, just about. Yeah, he's been around.
He got 987,000 for hanging around this year, so I ain't mad at him.
He's
his brother's still with the Patriots, right?
Yeah, his brother's still with the Patriots. Yes. Is
this the first time they've played separately?
No, they started off separately, then they were joined, and now they are separate again.
Good stuff with the McCourty brothers. All right. Who's up next? Some people think this is the number 1 defense in the league.
Some people may say that, and they might be right. I don't know. But as far as defensive backfields go, we're talking about the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams secondary, now listen to this. The Rams secondary was the most efficient in the league as a unit last year. Unfortunately, and this stuff, you know, we could do another whole show on what's the brain trust thinking when they do things like this. But unfortunately, they allowed two top-notch players, their slot corner, Troy Hill, and their free safety, John Johnson III. They let them both go in free agency. So they are now out of here. And trust me, you will hear their names again. Now, they still have one of the best corner tandems in the league, arguably the best. Some people may beg to differ. That would be Jalen Ramsey and Darius Williams. Now, the safeties are really young. Who's going to end up where? I don't know. We were talking about position competitions previously. There's a lot going on in LA with their secondary and with their safeties. They got a guy, Taylor Rapp, he's in his third year. Terrell Burgess is in his second year. Jordan Fuller's in his second year. And David Long is in his third year. So they're going to have to go through that mix. The good thing is they expect all those guys to be talented enough to give them plenty of depth. So again, that's a good thing. Again, the Rams are going to be tough in the secondary.
Well, the Rams are going to be tough in the secondary, and they're getting away with it with 18.6, just under $18.7 million cap hit this year. Jalen Ramsey and Darius Williams add up to about 15, and then everybody else is down under $1 million or under. So they've got some efficiencies built into these contracts if they can get the performance out of that secondary. That, you know, that maybe really they probably gave all that money to the quarterback.
Maybe that's why they let Johnson and Hill get away. So they could save that money and bring in a bunch of young talent.
Money
spread it around.
Did we say follow the money trail for every mystery?
That is correct. That is correct.
Speaking of not paying any money, but before we name this team, let me simply say again for our radio audience, for those listening, this is Ben and Barry on football. We are doing the top half of the cornerback rooms in the NFL. And, you know, we just finished doing the Rams. Now we're about to move on to the world champion. And Benny, wait till you hear what their cap hit is.
I know they're paying through the roof, bro. Number 8, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Cornerback, Carlton Davis, 52 solo tackles, 4 interceptions. Cornerback, Sean Murphy Bunting, who some people say was the weak link on the Super Bowl team. 53 solo tackles, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception, but had 3 interceptions in the postseason. Free safety, Jordan Whitehead, 53 solo tackles, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 2 interceptions. Sheesh. Oh, 2 forced fumbles in the playoffs. And strong safety, Antoine Winfield Jr., 60. These numbers are otherworldly. Now, they're not otherworldly. They're outstanding numbers. That's the only reason I'm bringing this up, because I can go through a whole bunch of superlatives for this secondary. Strong safety, Antoine Winfield Jr., who everybody knows, 64 solo tackles, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, 1 interception, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 interception also in the playoffs. Enough said.
And all for a paltry $11 million cap hit.
What? Yo, hey, wait. Didn't we talk about the young woman in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers organization?
A master capologist?
Yes, they're capologist. She's a freaking genius.
Man, let me tell you something. 2.7 is the highest cap hit this year for Carlton Davis. Everybody else is underneath that.
How did they pull that off after winning a Super Bowl? That's incredible.
I'm telling you, they're averaging 1.8 million on the cap hit for this year. And man, I mean, just in that, with everything that you're saying with the performance there, has to make them almost a favorite. Again, well, not, they already are a favorite because they won it last year. Last year's is always their favorite. But in any event,
another team that I think should be ranked
higher.
Definitely should be ranked higher. I'm not going to say where I would put them, but I don't think they belong at number 8. But that's what we got here. So,
well, it's surprising that they would be behind number 7.
Why is it such a surprise that they would be behind number 7, the New York Football Giants? So, first off, after a solid 3 seasons in Tennessee with the with the 4th season kind of messed up with knee injuries and other things, Titans chose to release Adoree Jackson. So Adoree Jackson was playing well for them, but for some reason, could have been money, could have been the injuries, they decided to let him go. The Giants signed him almost immediately. In fact, I looked up the dates. It was like within a week from the date that the Titans released him, he was signed by the Giants. So they're looking for big things from Adoree Jackson once he's healthy. And I believe he is in camp and healthy right now as we speak. He and James Bradbury are a pretty formidable duo. And the safety group is also very highly skilled. You got Jabril Peppers playing strong safety. You got Logan Ryan and Xavier McKinney at free safety. One of those guys is going to end up being the starter. The other guy will probably go to the slot. You can't go wrong there. All of these guys are quality players. They're all relatively young and at the top of their game. The Giants secondary is stronger than it's ever been in quite a long time. I cannot wait to see these guys get on the field.
Well, I like your distribution in your cap hit there. You put some money out, $36 million cap hit for the group. I have James Bradbury, Adoree Jackson, Jabril Peppers, Logan Ryan, Xavier McKinney, and Darnay Holmes listed here. James Bradbury got 13 million, but Adoree, Jabril, and Logan were in that $6 to $7 million range, all right there. Good, strong pay base for those guys. Good, strong group of talent there. Xavier McKinney, 1.9, and Darnay Holmes, low man there at 977,000. So that's a pretty good distribution, averaging again 6 million. So, but it still is surprising to see that they're ahead of the world champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, hey, well, wonders never cease. We'll have to see if they can play up to that level.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
You don't doubt it?
I don't doubt it. I've been watching this transformation of this defense. It's been going on for the last couple of years. And although, as a Giants fan, I kept saying, fix the O-line, fix the O-line, fix the O-line. Every time they made a move on the defensive side of the ball, I was like, I like it. I like it. I like it. So now they got them where they want them. Maybe now they'll fix the O-line.
There you go. There you go. All right, so that wraps up the Giants, who miraculously are ahead of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as far as their secondary.
Why do you have to say it like that? Miraculously.
Miraculously. Who would have thunk it? But guess who's ahead of the Giants and the Buccaneers?
Well, I'm not going to argue with any of these rankings, but I kind of like this one. At number 6, we're talking about the Green Bay Packers. People forget, and for other reasons, we talked about the NFC Championship game last season and how close the Packers came to winning that game and going to the Super Bowl. These guys are not scrubs by any stretch of the imagination. Jair Alexander, the cornerback, and strong safety Adrian Amos are both elite players at their positions. Free safety Darnell Savage improved significantly last year over his very promising rookie season. So we now have a young player who's at the top of his game very quickly in his career. Now, there was a weak link on this team. It was the other corner, Kevin King. He got picked on quite a bit. If you watch the Packers or you're a Packers fan, you probably know that. He will be given a chance to have a bounce back season. But in the meantime, they didn't waste any time. In the first round, they selected Eric Stokes. He will vie for that other corner spot. So again, there's a camp competition going on for a cornerback spot between Kevin King and Eric Stokes up there in Green Bay, Wisconsin. The rest of that secondary is solid. They're going to be good again, folks.
Okay. We have also had the discussion about the ability of the Packers to manage that cap and get to the point where they were a pass or two, a play or two away from getting to the Super Bowl. And they did it all of that, what you just said, for about 19.4, a little under 19.5 million, averaging $3 million per player. Highest paid guy there is Adrian Amos at 5.9 million. So very efficient contracts, to be coming up, ahead of some of the teams that they've come up ahead of in these rankings. So that's a good job for the Packers. We'll have to see how well that stands up against the higher level competition. All right, what do we have next?
Hitting the top 5, folks, and number 5 is the New England Patriots. They've had a very good, talented secondary for several years now, but injuries and COVID took a toll on them last season, something terrible. Both injuries and COVID caused star corner Stephon Gilmore to have probably his worst season in his career, actually, at least in recent memory. If he comes back healthy, and 33-year-old free safety Devin McCourty comes back healthy and can bounce back from a kind of a subpar season, they're probably going to be all right. Strong safeties Adrian Phillips. He was solid last year through all the other problems that they had. And J.C. Jackson is going to need to step up on the other corner. Other than that, we're expecting the Patriots to be strong again, as they have been for the past few seasons. I think last season was an off season. I know early on COVID hit them hard, and then some injuries sprung up. But they still kind of hung on and had a respectable season as far as the defense as a whole is concerned. So expect their secondary to kind of be back in the groove, and they'll be a top flight defense again.
Did you mention Jonathan Jones?
I did not mention Jonathan Jones.
Okay. All right. He's kind of the surprise cap hit here at 7.4 million. A little bit now, first of all, let me just say, I think of all of the cap hits that we've seen, this looks like the biggest hit right here at just under 44.4 million. That's a $44 million backfield right there. Now, Stephon and Devin are like 27 million of that.
Right. Long-time vets, been on the team for a long time, veteran players, Super Bowl rings. They're going to make a lot of money.
That's a well-paid backfield, no doubt about it. So they're averaging 7.39 million. So that's a well-paid backfield. They should be competitive, and I expect them to. To me, the Patriots are like the intriguing team in the league. Number one, we had that conversation about quarterbacks earlier, right? So that, in a way, is a true quarterback competition as far as I'm concerned.
If it wasn't, it's turning into one.
Yeah, absolutely. They got all the people that came back from COVID. They still have one of the winningest coaches in history there, much less the same offensive coordinator. And I was watching a little bit of Good Morning Football, And Nate Burleson was focused in on Mac Jones and showing some of the things that he was able to do in college. So look, those are pretty strong points. Accuracy, a little more mobile than what you thought, some good decision making, some good reads. So, yeah, Cam's going to have to do his thing. And if that defense holds up, and we saw, over the previous years before Brady left, that defense was generally ranked in close to the top 5.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So if they get back to form, your buddies, the Bills, might have a little something on their hands there.
Buffalo Bills coming in at number 4, folks. And they, in my estimation, are the new kings of the AFC East. Okay? Patriots been running the AFC East for a long time. There's a new sheriff in town. I'll say this right off the bat. Buffalo Bills have one of the strongest, arguably the strongest safety tandem in the league, with Micah Hyde at free safety and Jordan Poyer at strong. The cornerback, Tre'Davious White, is an elite player at his position. Everybody knows his name. I hear people argue back and forth between him and Gilmore and a couple other guys as being the best corner in the league. And Levi Wallace is going to man the other corner. He's also a very solid player. This is a solid group. Everybody's still relatively young. They all seem to be hitting their prime all at the same time. This is a nice secondary right here. This is going to do this secondary, besides what they got on offense with Josh Allen and some key things that they've done with their D-line, is what makes them a viable Super Bowl contender, in my estimation. So how's the money look? Because these guys are all still relatively young, but they've been together for a little while, and they're solidifying into a really nice group.
Very nice distribution. We have a $33 million cap hit. Poyer, Tre'Davious White, all of those guys are in that $6-7 million range, So not bad distribution for the Bills. They're paying them, and I can understand, the hype about their defense. Matter of fact, as a Madden guy, I just finished playing the Bills the other day because I'm working on some what do you call it? Where you're tracing the quarterback, the running quarterback, shadowing.
Oh, okay.
So working on some of those, and he doesn't run. Their quarterback really doesn't try to run a lot. He'll run if he has to, but he's throwing that ball. So I think you got a good team there. But it will be interesting considering you have the number, was it 3?
They're number 4.
The number 4 and the number 5 backfield, defensive backfield, so close to each other in the same division.
Correct.
Man, and look, the Pats have a $44 million defensive backfield. The Bills have a $33 million defensive backfield. So that's going to be a very interesting situation. All right. So that was number 4.
That was number 4. This is number 3, the Cleveland Browns. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Cleveland Browns. This team's for real, folks. I'm telling you, they've been putting in work. You want to hear a couple of names that I mentioned before when we were talking about other teams. They got 2 big-time additions in free agency, and they were free safety John Johnson III and cornerback Troy Hill, both from the Rams. Now, we speculated on how the Rams could let 2 key players like this go. Could have been money, we don't know. But not only did they both leave the Rams, but they both went to the Cleveland Browns. So that's big time for the Browns. Let's see who we got here. Johnson's going to come right in and start. He's going to come right in and start at free safety. The strong safety is Rodney Harrison. Solid year last season. With the addition of Hill, the Browns now have a wealth of talent at corner. They got a ton of corners, all really good players. Day one starter, as soon as he was drafted 4th overall in 2018, is Denzel Ward. Everybody knows his name. This guy was a good player right off the bat, been starting from day one. He's playing corner. The other corner is up for grabs, though. So these are the names that will be vying for that spot. One will get it. One will probably go to the slot corner. Or you're looking at Greedy Williams, a high draft pick when he came out, Troy Hill, the guy that just came over from the Rams, and first round pick rookie Greg Newsome II. So all very good, very talented players, the young ones and the veterans. This is a solid backfield. If these guys don't have any injuries, and even if they do, they have depth. They can just pull somebody in off the bench and not lose a beat. Cleveland Browns are going to be tough. Highly ranked defensive line. I don't remember where they ended up in the linebacker thing, but this defensive backfield is looking good. Pro Football Focus has them in number 3. It's hard for me to argue.
Well, if they can get that pressure up front now that they've added Clowney to the other side, and I understand he's looking pretty good in camp. They're actually giving him some compliments in camp. They're getting away with a $20.7 million cap hit for 2021, of which Denzel Ward is $9.4 million of it. So he's almost half right there. So everybody else is not, highly paid. 3, 2, 1. We're talking at John Johnson at 3.6, Greg Newsome at 2.3, and everybody else is just under 2. So if they can get away with that and get that type of performance coming in at number 3, man, that's great, because you figure of the top 3, they have the least cap hit right now.
Okay.
So of the top 3, let's go to number 2.
Number 2. And some folks might argue with this one. It's the Baltimore Ravens. Now, I have to include Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters. Okay? Trash talking Marcus Peters. And from what I'm hearing, Marlon Humphrey ain't much better. But these cats can play. Great cover guys, good tacklers, love to hit when they get a chance. You don't always see that at the cornerback position. They definitely have it. In fact, Pro Football Focus had them both ranked in the top 10 at their position. That's very rare for both corners to be individually ranked in the top 10, even for Pro Football Focus. They also received extremely solid play down the middle from their safeties, and their strong safety is Chuck Clark. Their free safety is Deshaun Elliott. This is a solid crew, kind of reminiscent of what the Bills have built, where they've kept these guys together for a while and they've gelled into an extremely good unit. 2 guys might have really big names that you hear all the time, but the 2 safeties have solid play, solid numbers, good hitters, cover tight ends, cover backs. Great unit. Baltimore Ravens. And they need a good defense because, as I said before a million times, to win a Super Bowl, you got to have a good running game and a really good defense. The Ravens have a really good defense, and because they have a strong secondary, that means they can better deal with teams that have a strong passing game. Because they are a run-centric team, sometimes it's tough for them to come back when they fall behind. I just heard a guy say today, the only problem with Lamar Jackson is he's kind of a front runner. It's all good when they're in the lead. When they fall behind, they have trouble coming back. When you got a secondary like this, it makes your chances a little bit better. These guys can really cover and stop a passing game.
Well, they've got a $30+ million cap hit. Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey make up close to 20 of it. So the rest of those guys, if they can continue to play, and I think that they're recognizing the need for Lamar Jackson to throw the ball, to become a more balanced quarterback. And so it's going to be interesting to see if he's ready to take that step, because that's the only thing separating him from Patrick Mahomes. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
well, I'll tell you the truth. I think they realized it, but it took them a little while to get him the proper weapons. First of all, they thought Marquise Brown was going to be a lot better than he has been. He actually has been in the league for a few years now, and last season was probably his best season. And it wasn't outstanding, but he was good. You know what I mean? They let a couple of guys go. They got a rookie guy, Bateman, who I think is injured already, but they said he'll be ready by September. They kept the tight end, Andrews. I think they're trying, but there's still one receiver away, I think, from giving him the kind of targets that he needs to expand his passing game.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, he's got one guy's a burner. Marquise Brown is a burner. And one guy is your steady move the sticks tight end. Those are his two best receivers. There's nothing wrong with that, but you need another guy, a versatile guy, that dude that goes over the middle, the intermediate dude, the dude that just, catches the ball and tiptoes out of bounds right at the first down marker. They don't have that guy. I think they thought the guy they drafted, Bateman, was going to be that guy. His name's Rashad Bateman, but he's got a groin injury or something that he got just the other day. And I don't know. I think it was a groin. I'm not sure, but he may not be ready for week one. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, from what I can see here, let's take a quick look. Yes. $38 million backfield there. Like I said, plus 30 million. So we'll see how that all works out. All right. That brings us up to numero uno.
Number one. Some folks may argue this. I might be one of them, but I can't argue with the fact that Pro Football Focus considers this team to have the most improved secondary, or a team that has done the most to improve their secondary. So that's what the Denver Broncos have done this offseason. Just in this offseason I'm talking about. That's how much work they've put into it. Excuse me. First off, 2020 third round rookie, Bryce Callahan, along with, let me see, who am I missing here? Bryce Callahan. Yeah, right. Bryce Callahan's a good player. Very solid last year. He plays the corner. The other corner is Kyle Fuller. He was signed after being released by the Bears. That was this strange release, and then signed one veteran cornerback for another veteran cornerback. When I talked about the Bears last week, I couldn't figure out why they would let Fuller go. The guy can still play, obviously. Now he's with the Broncos. Ronald Darby left the Washington football team and also signed with the Denver Broncos. People here in Philadelphia will remember Ronald Darby played for the Eagles for a little while. He's been around, veteran player, very solid. I talk bad about the Eagles sometimes. I liked Ronald Darby. I thought he played well. I think he'll play better on this team than he did for the Eagles. He definitely played better for the Washington football team than he did for the Eagles. So sometimes scheme matters, okay? But they also got Ronald Darby. Patrick Surtain, the number 9 pick overall in this year's draft, is now in that secondary. Wow. And if that's not enough talent for you, okay. Justin Simmons at free safety and Kareem Jackson at strong safety, again, are arguably, and some people will argue between them and the safeties for the Bills, they are arguably the best safety combo in the league. Pro Football Focus says the Denver Broncos will be the number 1 defensive secondary in 2021.
Wow, number one, the Broncos. Just under 29 million. Nicely distributed, averaging about 4.8 on their cap hit. So I'm really surprised. And again, you mentioned Darby, Patrick Surtain. Nobody's really making under $1 million in that backfield from what I'm seeing here of the people that I have listed anyway. So congrats to the Broncos for being ranked number one for their defensive backfield. That wraps up our ranking of the defensive backs. Next, we will be looking at wide receivers.
Yes, sir. Next week, wide receiver course.
Wide outs, fantasy alert, wide outs. You can actually pick, can't even pick our defensive backs. You have to pick the whole defense, right?
Well, you have to pick the whole defense. However, defensive backs usually are the ones that come up with the majority of the points that defenses can score because they get turnovers. Linebackers do too, you know what I mean? But fumble recoveries and interceptions, because they are turnovers, generate the most points. And then, of course,
talked about that last week. So, it behooves someone to take a look at these backfields.
Absolutely.
As they're positioning themselves in the fantasy world there. All right. Congratulations. Great work, Mr. Dickerson, on all of that research on the defensive backs. We are going to, first of all, do a quick break to mention again, this is Ben and Barry on football. You can reach us at www.benandbarryonfootball.com. We are on all the social media. I say all, but we're talking about Instagram. We're talking about Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor Podcasts, and every Friday from 6 to 7:30 on WJRL953.com. That's internet radio. So we got a little radio thing going on, and we'll be on the show for tomorrow. All right. So moving on from the defensive secondary backfields, this is the opening weekend where we have a full slate of games, preseason games. And as I always say, Benny, I like to watch the preseason games. I want to see the backups. I want to see the aspiring players. I want to see the guys who are fighting for their life to make a NFL team, scratching and clawing and getting in trouble because they're hitting people they're not supposed to hit. Like the guy when he hit Corey in your Giants practice and caused a big melee. Those guys are hungry. Those guys are hungry, man.
I know the players enjoy it because they get to hit somebody other than their own teammates. So yes,
absolutely. Yeah, you even hear when they have the mixed or the combined scrimmages where they bring in the other teams, and the guys always talk about.
Yeah, I like that. They started that a few years ago, and it seems to be catching on.
That one, as players.
Yeah, but they keep it pretty much under control though.
Okay.
They control it a little bit. It's not 100% all out like a preseason game would be. It's a controlled scrimmage.
Okay.
So yeah, they keep it safe, but I think that's pretty cool though.
Well, tonight, Thursday, August 12th, we have two games. Washington football team is taking on the New England Patriots. Very close in their defensive backfields, weren't they?
Yes, they were. They both defensive backfields were good, ranked highly rather. I don't think we'll be seeing a whole bunch of the starters. There's going to be some guys out there that won't be playing once the season starts, and there's some guys that are fighting for jobs. I think the big thing to look for in this game is how much of Ryan Fitzpatrick are we going to see. However, I do want to see Taylor Heinicke.
Taylor Heinicke, right.
I do want to see Taylor Heinicke, and I think we're going to get a good dose of Taylor Heinicke in that game. I don't think Fitzpatrick is going to play very long if he plays at all. I have no idea who their third string guy is, but I'm sure he'll have mop-up duty. As far as the Patriots are concerned, we got a real competition now all of a sudden between Cam Newton and Mac and Cheese Jones. And, you know, people are getting on Cam Newton saying that he's fat shaming Mac Jones by calling him Mac and Cheese. You know, Cam Newton's one of those guys, he says things in jest and people say come after him. He should be used to that by now. You know, you got to be careful. He's a funny dude. He's a joker. He likes to
everybody a nickname.
He gives everybody a nickname. He called the guy Mac and Cheese, and now people are saying he's fat shaming the dude. The dude's not that big, if you ask me. I mean, he's not a small guy, obviously.
But he's not one of those ripped guys, but quarterbacks aren't like that anyway.
Yeah, he's not fat. It's ridiculous. But anyway, this will be my first look at Mac Jones since I saw him play for Alabama. And it'll be a lot of people's first look in game action at Cam Newton since last season, which was borderline disaster for him personally. So yeah, those would be the things of interest for me.
The other team that are playing are the two Pennsylvania representatives, the Steelers and the Eagles.
Okay, so I believe they just announced today that Jalen Hurts will start the game for the Eagles. I don't think he'll play a lot, but he will start. And of course, they'll go with Flacco and Mullins and whoever else they got back there. Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I didn't watch the Hall of Fame game. Roethlisberger did not play at all. Is that correct? Did you watch the game?
I didn't know. Right.
Okay, I don't think he played at all. I think in this one, he will probably take some reps, maybe a series. I don't know if there's going to be enough to see of Roethlisberger to make a judgment as to how he looks as compared to how he finished the season last year. But we might get a look at Dwayne Haskins. I got it right this time. I really, really want to see Dwayne Haskins. I really do. I'm rooting for Dwayne Haskins, man. This guy.
Guess what?
What?
Who's the other quarterback in that back room for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Who, Helmet Head?
I hear he's having a good camp.
Oh, will you please?
He's having a good camp.
Dude, I do not like that guy. What's his name?
M.I.M.
Miles Rudolph?
No, it's not Miles Rudolph.
Mason Rudolph.
Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, Mason Rudolph better look out for Myles Garrett.
Hitting him.
Right. Miles was after Mason. Yeah, exactly. No, I don't like him. I just don't.
I'm not real thrilled with him either, but it's going to be interesting. I do want to see Jalen Hurts and see what, if he gets some good work in. It's funny because, again, you have these different philosophies on, how you handle, especially your quarterbacks and your starters. We always talk about the first 4 games of the 16-game season as being the second preseason because it's when all of the starters play together. You know, and that just really doesn't happen much in the preseason. And with 3 games, it's going to really happen less and less, I do believe. But if you're going to play your starters, it seems to me that you would want to get them in that first game or 2 of the preseason. And then by the 3rd game or so, it's nobody in there but the people trying to make the team, trying to figure out,
Not so long ago, everybody had 4 games. And the game where the starters played the most was usually game 3 of the preseason. Then we had last year where we had no preseason because of COVID. So now we're back. Only the Steelers and the Cowboys will have 4. Everybody else will have 3. So now I was thinking game 2 would be the game where almost all the starters will get the most time until I was reminded that there's 2 weeks in between preseason game 3 and the beginning of the season. So now I'm thinking that 3rd preseason game, that's the one where you're going to see almost all the starters put in the most time.
Wow, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that with the 2-week point. But so you're thinking you'll see the starters in that 3rd week.
Yes.
I'm saying get them out there in the 1st week, let them, because they know what they're doing. And
but they still got 90 guys on the roster. So you got to get all those guys out there first.
Well, you're not going to give them so much work anyway. And I figured if you're going to risk getting hurt, get them, get a little twist here or a soft injury there, get it done early. By the time the season actually starts, they'll have 2 or 3 weeks to have recuperated from all of that. So
you thinking like a Madden coach.
Could be.
Look, dude, I watched episode 1 of Hard Knocks. They're losing their minds over Dak and his shoulder. They're like, oh, is he ready yet? Well, can he just toss it? Can he throw short passes? The doctor's like, I don't want him to do anything. I don't want him to touch a ball. And the guy said, well, I mean, can he just throw no?
Well, that's why you have the second preseason at the beginning of the year, those first 4 games. And now that we have a 17-game season, it's not exactly even, but still pretty much works out that way. Friday the 13th, is it?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay. 3 games. We have the Titans, Falcons, the Bills, the Lions, and the Cowboys at the Cardinals.
Wow.
Yeah, 3 games. Man, will we go anywhere this weekend? I don't see myself moving this weekend.
No, I mean, I got practice with my team tonight, so I hope they show up.
I know everybody be home watching football.
But so give me those Friday games
Titans
again. What you had first?
Falcons. That's number 1.
Titans at Falcons.
Yes.
Wow. Again, it's preseason game 1 for them. I don't know if we'll see any Tannehill. I don't know if we'll see any Derrick Henry. If we do, it might be a series or so. For the Falcons, I cannot wait to see Kyle Pitts. I got to see me some Kyle Pitts, and I got to see him run some routes and catch some balls. Now, whether Matt Ryan will be throwing it to him or somebody else, I don't know, and I really don't care. I just want to see this guy in full uniform out there balling, man. Because from what I'm hearing, I've already kind of seen him on film, but from what everybody's saying about him, this dude he's getting freaking nature comments. They're treating him like when they first saw DK last year.
Really?
Yeah, they're saying this guy's a physical specimen. He's half tight end, half wide receiver. It's crazy. It's just crazy. So yeah, I can't wait to see this guy play live.
We have the Bills at the Lions.
Bills at the Lions? Well, there won't be much to see here, folks. I doubt if the Bills will play anybody of consequence in that game. No Josh Allen. They'll probably put the starting running backs out there because they basically have a 1 and a 1A. So I'm sure they'll both get a decent amount of running, and then they'll run through all their rookies and bench guys. Defensively, I think they've kind of reconstructed their defensive line. So I believe they're going to want to get a look at those guys playing as a unit. So they might send those guys out early and let them play and then get them off the field. The Lions, it'll be our first look at Jared Goff in a new uniform. Man, he doesn't have a whole lot to work with, man. Galladay left. He's still got TJ Hawkinson at tight end. It's the Swifty's second year. So DeAndre Swift is the main guy there now in the backfield. So I'm sure they'll get him out there for a little while and then get him off the field. I don't know, man. I don't know what to expect from the Lions. I really don't.
Well, I know one thing. The backup quarterback has a lot of familiarity.
The Lions backup quarterback?
No, the Bills backup quarterback has a lot of familiarity with the Lions.
Oh, yeah, Trubisky.
Trubisky.
Yeah, we're going to see some Trubisky. All right. Hey, this will be interesting. There you go. Thank you for reminding me. I'm thinking of things. What's going to interest me in this game? Obviously, we're going to see some Trubisky. Let's see how he operates in this Bills offense. This is a totally different offense from the Lions, from the Bears offense.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting to see
if it suits him.
I'm telling you. So, And we have the Cowboys at the Cardinals.
Oh, this is kind of interesting.
Mr. Dickerson's a bit interested in some preseason action here, eh?
Well, because yeah, I mean, see, this is the thing. Usually when you're watching television, you're looking at the network, you're watching ESPN or whatever, you'll see a little blurb that says, preseason game coming up, Kyler Murray's not going to play. I haven't seen that, or this quarterback's not going to play or that quarterback's not. I haven't seen that. So that leads me to believe that they might be leaning toward your thinking, that they're going to get him out there early, let him play it. I don't see him playing more than a series. Right. I really don't. Unless they go 3 and out. And even then they might yank him, But receiver core for the Cardinals kind of interests me now. Did Larry Fitzgerald officially retire?
Not that I know of. Not that I know of, unless they're going to make some grand announcement before the beginning of the season or something like that. But no, I don't have that yet.
I would venture to guess that they would try to get A.J. Green out on the field a little bit more now that he's kind of into his second year after coming off of his knee surgery. Sometimes it takes receivers and running backs an entire year to completely feel good about a surgically repaired knee. But with A.J. Green there, along with Hopkins and Christian Kirk, and they got somebody else, that's one heck of a receiving core. Kyler Murray's got lots of targets. So I'd like to take a look at them. Again, if I catch the beginning of the game, that'll be great. After that, probably won't be much to watch, but, I'd go for it.
Well, you're looking at a Colt McCoy versus, what is the other guy, Ben DiNucci.
Oh, Ben DiNucci. Yeah. Ben DiNucci's been on the Cowboys for a couple of years now.
Okay.
I mean, I have to give the Cowboys the advantage simply because this is their second game. But yeah, Dak's not even going to dress probably.
Yeah. Dak might be sitting up in the owner's booth or something.
Right.
Saturday game. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3. Wait a minute. Is this all Saturday? Yes. A full slate Saturday with one game on Sunday. Now, Sunday, I'm just going to name them real quick. It's the Panthers and the Colts.
Colts. Good game.
At 1.
That should be a good one early. I'm sure Sam Darnold will come out and start. We might get to see him throw some passes. I doubt if we will see any Christian McCaffrey. If I was them, I would not play him, not even for a series. I would wait until at least the last preseason game, and maybe even then, I wouldn't play him. Just like the Giants, they're not going to play Saquon until the season's ready to start. You just don't want to take a chance with guys like that. What are they playing? I forgot that quick.
That's okay. That's understandable. We're looking at the Colts and the Panthers.
The Colts. Okay. So after the good news about Wentz, everybody's all happy and giddy over there now. But they still got to take a look at the kid Erlinger. And who is they got another quarterback there in Colts land. I know they were preparing 2 guys in case Wentz would not be back. And obviously he's going to just maybe make it back by game 1, probably game 2. So you're going to have to start somebody. So it's either going to be Erlinger or the other kid, who I forget his name. But other than that, I don't think they'll show too much.
All right. Just a quick rundown on the games that we have set up for Saturday. Woo. We have music. All right. Always something, I tell you. Nothing like a live show, ladies and germs.
Yeah.
All right. So what do we have here going up on Saturday? We have a 1:00 game. Dolphins at Bears. Who's
Justin Fields?
I really have to take a few minutes at some point. We have to really look at these backup quarterbacks because this is what we're really expecting to see here. Half the time, I don't know who's backing up who here.
I want to see Justin Fields. I want to see Justin Fields.
The Broncos and the Vikings. Now the Broncos will be interesting because you got two guys really vying for the starting position there.
You got Locke and you got Bridgewater. They might both share the first half, and then they'll play whoever else in the second half. But whether or not they get to play, see, this is the problem. You got to play one of them, and when they're fighting for the job, you kind of have to play both of them. Okay, which kind of forces you to be fair to them. You have to play your other starters. They might not want to play all the starters. You know, I'll tell you a name to look out for, and I probably shouldn't even be unleashing this name because of fantasy.
Giving away your competitive advantage.
Running back Javonte Williams. If you watch that game, keep an eye out for him. If I don't get a chance to watch him, you tell me what you think of Javonte Williams. Melvin Gordon's going to have to watch his back.
Okay. We have this a slate of 7 o'clock or 2 7 o'clock games and some 7:30 games and some 8 o'clock games. A lot of stuff happening in the evening on Saturday. Saints, let me just run them about 3 of them real quick. Saints, Ravens, Browns, Jaguars, and Jets, Giants.
Oh, God. Jets, Giants.
Another interstate preseason.
Yeah, that's kind of normal. The Jets always play the Giants, and the Jets always play the Eagles in the preseason too. So that'll be coming up somewhere along the line. Yeah, I heard Jets camp hasn't been a real fun place to be at lately. The kid Zach Wilson's struggling a little bit, so that's something to look out for. Obviously, Saquon will not play. Danny Dimes will probably be out there for a series, if that. Might get to see some Kadarius Toney. That would be good. He had a slight injury, but he's back healthy, so he's good. We will
back up Baker Mayfield.
I know.
You know that one, eh?
I thought I knew that one.
But whoever it is, they'll probably be looking. Well, again, see, now you have a situation where you have the Browns playing the Jaguars. The Jaguars have this number 1 pick, we know they want to get him work, but they don't.
Yeah, they got to play him.
They got to play him to some degree. And then Minshew. And Minshew said something as to the effect that he's not really looking to be a backup.
Right, which is smart. You're in his situation, and you have started and played, and I'm not going to say he stunk it up. He didn't. He won some games. He has decent stats. You know what I mean? He doesn't want to be a backup. He feels like he can be a starter for somebody else. So in his mind, it is a quarterback competition. Now, obviously, it's not fair because Trevor Lawrence is going to get all the number 1, snaps. But if he gets a chance to get on the field, Minshew's going to try to do something, because what he wants to do is make himself expendable. They're not going to want to pay two starting, quarterbacks. And then once he gets out of there, he may have a chance to really compete for a job, or maybe a job falls in his lap. But he has to prove that he's still starter worthy.
Yeah. Well, beyond that, on Saturday, we still have the Bengals and the Buccaneers. The Texans at the Packers, the Chiefs against my beloved 49ers, and a couple more, Seahawks at Raiders and Chargers at the Rams.
Chiefs-Niners might be interesting for a minute, but the main thing is we get to see a little bit of Trey Lance live. Yep. So I'm looking forward to that. Other than that, and the Niners are going to, because they had so many injuries last year, some guys are going to treat with caution, and some other guys, they're going to want to get them out on the field and see what they got, So that game should be decent to watch, at least for the first half.
I have a text. Now, I've seen 2 things, and I think I asked you to look into Deshaun Watson. Excuse me, because I kept seeing something on coming out of Twitter saying that he was being released. But then I saw something else, and I think what you sent me said they were listing him as the 4th string quarterback.
Yeah, that's what I saw. I also saw that he was spotted in camp playing safety.
Did you?
I'm telling you, man, it's ugly. Look, from as far as I know, and the last thing I read came out today, because there were a couple of things that were a couple of weeks old. I've learned when I see these blurbs pop up to look and see when they actually came out. So a couple of them were like 2 or 3 weeks old. This one came out today. It mentioned him playing safety. It mentioned that they still did not want to trade him, that they are not entertaining offers. However, if they were to entertain an offer, they're talking about multiple number ones and quality player or players. So it's like, this is what it's going to take to get him, but don't bother calling because we're not going to answer the phone. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. He's the 4th string quarterback. He's not hardly getting any snaps, bro. None. Tyrod Taylor's starting.
That's who we expect to see. And how much of him we're going to see, I don't know, because he's probably expected to be the starter. So,
yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So if he's out there, he won't be out there long, because God forbid he get his chest hurt and have to get a needle again. So I know that wasn't. Sorry, Tyrod. My bad.
like, did you have to remind me?
Oh, that reminds me. I'm sorry, we're just talking now. We're talking about football. I was talking about football with some young guys on my team. And, they got these are guys that actually watch football and are real fans. And we were talking about Justin Herbert. His name came up, and I was like, it's amazing how well he did, considering that the first game he got to start, he didn't even know he was going to play at all, let alone start until like maybe an hour or so before the game. Turns out, they interviewed him. Turns out he found out like a couple minutes after the freaking national anthem. He did not know, because some people were saying it was like a conspiracy theory, like that Tyrod took one for the team or something because they was ready to put him out there. Some crazy stories. He said within minutes before the kickoff, somebody walked up to him and said, dude, get some warm-up throws. You're starting.
Wow.
That's amazing. And he came in and balled in that first game. No jitters or nothing.
Player.
Unbelievable.
Player.
Unbelievable.
Player. No doubt about it. So that wraps up Saturday, and we already talked about Sunday. So
right.
There's your slate of preseason games for this weekend starting tonight, August 12th, and we'll follow those up next week. All right. What I want to do next, and we'll be wrapping it up with this particular piece of it, Benny, is just as we like to go through our Facebook page and just quickly mention a few of the things that show up on our Facebook page. You saw the Hall of Fame game. This showed up as one of the pictures on Twitter. Brady Manning. Manning's writers were on point for his speech.
Did he? You think he had writers, or he wrote that himself? That was
I'm saying he had writers because it was so good.
It was really, really good. It was a really good speech, well thought out, humorous as hell, and very strong. Also, people are talking about he's going to be a future commissioner of the league and stuff. So, but I don't know about that. But it was a great speech. Brady was there, which showed a lot of respect. Turns out they're supposedly really close friends for a number of years now, which I can see. I can see that. I don't think that's a made up thing. Yeah, that was.
When he said Ray Lewis was just finishing up his speech
from 2018.
Oh my goodness, that was too funny.
That was funny.
Oh, I'm telling you. And the whole thing about the speech being, with the bus talking to themselves, and he started running down the plays that he was going to be running and the pitch out.
Right.
I forget who we pitched it out to, but when he said Darryl Green was chasing him down.
Oh, right.
He's like, he knew he was going to lose that race.
So he knew he was going to lose that. Right. Yeah, right.
Pitched it to Bambi of all people.
That was good.
So that was hilarious. That was hilarious. Okay. You mentioned Calvin Johnson's would not probably be saying much great about his team because he was a bit unhappy with them. So as it came out, as I looked into it a little bit more, come to find out, when he retired, there was like $1.6 million that the Lions took back from him.
It was a signing bonus, wasn't it?
Something like that. And then apparently later they offered him the equivalent, but he would have to, it says $500,000 a year, for 28 hours of work. Now, first of all, when you hear $500,000 for 28 hours, you and I probably go, good deal. Sign me up. But he was so pissed he didn't take it. He turned it down. Because he's like, they owe me that money. I shouldn't have to do anything.
Exactly. I think he's 100% right. Why should I have to work for the money? And it probably ain't even really work. Again, if it was you or me, we'd be more than happy to do that and be like, what else you want me to do? You know what I'm saying?
Ropes I can sweep afterwards.
Right. Well, for him, nah. That wouldn't, if I was him, that wouldn't sit right with me either. You're gonna offer me the money that you actually owe me and then ask for something else in return? What else do you want?
Well, the only challenge with that is apparently he could not sue them to get that money because they would probably do that money contractually.
Yeah, so it was the signing bonus.
He probably was pissed off about it. Legally, they were in their right. So, I can understand what you're saying. But again, 28 hours of work, I'd have probably be mumbling all the way to the bank. And that's what I would have suggested. Take that money, mumble yourself all the way to because if you can't sue them and get it, then they weren't completely wrong about it. They just were, they weren't giving you the love that you thought you should have gotten by saying, go take that 1.6 mil.
Right. And they feel so bad about it that's why they're trying to do this in the first place.
Well, could be, but it was a little something. All right. I was surprised here, Ben, to find out that Kirk Cousins' dad is an extreme right winger.
Yeah, I saw something about him on Facebook.
Did you?
Yeah, he's rough.
And so as Kirk Cousins decides not to take the vaccine, I actually heard today on one of the business news agencies that there's one state that's now offering, like, I'm going to say anonymous or vaccines on the down low. For people who are on the extreme right, their whole family is like anti-vaxxers.
Right.
They want to get
it. Yeah. Yeah. So they get it on the down low, and then they be like, yeah, don't get the vaccine. Even though they know they got it.
Well, that's pretty much what the former president did, right?
Exactly. What a freaking
the vaccine. He promoted the vaccine, and now all his people don't want to take the vaccine. So
what a sham.
I have no clue what's going on. But that was an interesting thing. Again, this is on our Facebook page on Ben and Barry on football. Hey, did they pay Josh Allen enough money?
Josh Allen got himself a nice contract, and yes, Lamar Jackson needs to be talking to Josh Allen about that contract. And actually, Lamar Jackson's mom is his representative. So
yeah,
they might want to get together, get the moms together and have some coffee and work that out because Lamar's going to be due for some money soon.
Lamar's passing numbers don't match Josh Allen's though.
No, but he rivals Josh Allen in rushing. Not by that much, though. At this point, if you put a gun to my head, I'd have to say Josh Allen is the more accomplished quarterback at this point. But I think Lamar Jackson has a higher ceiling. Man, this is a tough one. The bottom line is, dude's got an MVP already. He gonna get paid. Now, whether or not he gets a deal like Josh Allen got remains to be seen.
There is that whole scenario where you're paying a guy who will take off and run as much as he will. And especially when you get to those guarantees and things of that nature, because again, higher probability of injury, even though him personally, he doesn't seem to get injured much. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens with that one. All right. Benny, did you know that August 11, 1919, the Green Bay Packers were born?
No, I did not know that.
Well, there you go. I sent this out to my son, the Packer fan, so that he would know when his teams was started. It always amazes me how old of a game football is.
Yeah.
1919, and that's when the Packers were formed. They were playing football in the late 1800s,
Oh, yeah. The Bears were around before the Packers.
Okay. One of those original teams. Yeah, amazing. So congratulations. This was a little something. Now, I don't know if we're going to get much out of this, but
I did listen to this. If people get a chance to go on Facebook and find this, it's worth listening to. This dude can really sing.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try
just if you see this on Facebook, stop and listen to this. The guy can really sing.
Well, go to Ben and Barry on football, and you will see this on Facebook at our Facebook page. Because I said to Crystal the same thing I said here. Isn't he from like Australia? he's singing.
Yeah. He's the rugby dude.
He's a rugby guy. Yeah, he's singing like he was born here, on a Delta or something like that. Okay, our boy Nate Burleson is going to be a CBS This Morning co-host. And I think he's taking Anthony Mason's place. Now, I don't know if he's still going to do the Good Morning Football show and try to do both. If he does like, what's your boy with the gap in his teeth from the Giants?
Strahan.
If he's going to try to do a Strahan, because Strahan's is working everywhere. Strahan's got about 12 jobs.
Yeah. He could get away with doing this morning show and still doing, because he doesn't only work for the NFL Network. He's on the CBS Network football on Sundays.
Right. He's calling games also.
Right. So I think he'll be able to do both of those things. Good Morning Football, he's probably going to have to let go.
Well, I'm going to miss him because, like I said, I just watched this Burl lesson on Mac Jones, and it was excellent, So for someone to come in with that level, I mean, they usually have football players, but who's going to take over for him on a daily basis? That's going to be a question. So congratulations to Nate. Well, Alex Smith is going to be joining ESPN as an analyst.
Good for Alex Smith. I'm glad he's able to stay in football some kind of way. I still think Washington kind of did him dirty, but,
Well, that's a question. All right. Other than that, there's that guy right there.
Acting a fool. I got a beer in my hand. Jeez. Take that off of there, man. There might be kids watching.
This is not made for kids. When I upload this to YouTube, that's one of the first questions they ask you. Is this made for kids? I go, no.
No.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Wait, you mean I've been refraining from cursing all this time for nothing?
Shucks, I let you know that. I didn't mean that.
I try to keep it clean.
I mean, we really.
As I sit here with bottles of liquor right over my shoulder.
Plenty of bottles of
liquor from a bar.
Having drinks every once in a while during the show and stuff like that.
Yeah, I got practice tonight. That's the only reason why I didn't.
Okay. Well, we can't have that. Now, practicing tonight for...
Okay, so tonight is Noel's practice. That's for the upcoming season, which will be not this weekend coming, but the following weekend. Last night, I had my last practice with the Philly Legends, my 35 and over team, coached by myself and my man Blade Brown. We are playing in Philly Bowl, which is this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. We're going to be at, I want to think it's called the Kirkwood Soccer Club. It's in Newcastle, Delaware. Philly Bowl is probably the biggest flag football tourney in the tri-state area. It was so big, we couldn't find a viable venue in Philadelphia, so we had to move it to Newcastle, Delaware. We got a ton of teams coming up, coming from all over. We got 8-man, we got 7-man. I think we have some co-ed teams coming in. There's going to be a co-ed division. I think they're having a women's division. It's going to be interesting, man. You ever see women play 8-man flag?
No.
It's a sight to see, bro.
8-man's a bit physical, right?
A bit, a bit physical. Oh man, and they get it in. So yeah, this is gonna be a big weekend for flag football.
You didn't tell me that you were coaching with the great Blade Brown.
I didn't tell you we were doing it together.
No.
Yeah, I did tell you. I'm coaching defense.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm just a lowly DC. That's all.
Not bad at all. All right. Okay, so that's Philly Bowl this weekend, ladies and gentlemen, and Delaware again. We'll try to put that up on our Facebook, and Instagram pages. Make sure we share that with you guys, and that's
it's admission is free. If you get a chance, come down. You want to see some good football for 2 whole days, Saturday and Sunday this weekend. Come down. You'll see men, you'll see women, you'll see co-ed teams. You'll see it all. A lot of excitement, whole bunch of vendors, lots and lots of food. No admission. Just got to pay for your food, you know.
There you go. That's my price right there.
Yeah, there you go.
You can't beat that one.
It's going to be fun.
Right. That wraps it up for me. I do want to mention this, Benny. Sadly, our conversation about COVID sort of came true. Because I went back and looked. Remember, we had that little piece where we talked about COVID, and I talked about COVID, and I talked about how you successfully travel.
Yes.
And you talked about that. And the one thing that I wanted to make sure that I mentioned was how this thing can spring up exponentially, you know?
Yes.
And we talked about reaching the limits of the healthcare system. Well, between the 1st of August and about 2 weeks later, less than 2 weeks later, you started seeing, they literally have mentioned, and I don't know what state this is off the top of my head, but they're talking about bringing in the military ship, the same one that they brought in for the state of New York.
Oh, because of all the hospitalizations.
Right, for overflow hospitalizations.
Yeah.
So, you know.
And the difference is it's young people now.
Young people, absolutely. And mainly unvaccinated young people.
And children.
Yes. So we
remember back when Trump was like, it doesn't affect children?
That was early on. That was a different variant.
And it seemed right. It was a different variant. And now it's hitting kids, and these people want to send kids back to school with no masks. Don't get me started, man. Well, speaking of masks, that's just something to remind people that when they go to Philly Bowl, bring your mask. You might be outdoors, you will be outdoors, but so often we're, bumping into people that we know, and just, you got to get that up close hit. He's seeing you in 6 months, buddy. So just be very careful while you're out there. All right, Benny, that's it for me. What do you got? I got nothing except go Knowles.